So, another day and another cool bag of stuff from Pimoroni. I love how they do their packaging with the rainbows and things, even if they're grey rainbows. Right, let's get this open and see what we've got. I'll move the shipment note out of the way, and we've got a few boxes of stuff. I know, one box in there, again, with Pimoroni branded tape. So cool. And here's the paper. So first up is this, which is a 7 sensor array. So this is for things like line following, so it's reflectance sensors. So you want to put this as close to the floor as you can. And I should be able to use that array on a robot, potentially with a Raspberry Pi Pico or something like that, to go and do some quick line sensing. Awesome. And this is another sensor. So this is a time of flight, 3-channel wide field of view. So this one sensor is kind of like that VLX sensor, time of flight sensor, but it does 3 different directions. So you can put this on the front of the robot, and you've got 3 sensors for about the space of one. I wouldn't say it's the price of one. It's a bit more pricey than a single sensor. It's I2C. I guess I'm still yet to find out how to communicate with it, but I'm going to be trying that with a Pico as well. And a micro gripper kit. So I've actually been designing a gripper in FreeCAD, but I was going to try and use it for the tidy up the toys task in Pi Wars. But even so, I think actually getting a gripper kit is going to be kind of fun, and it maybe can allow me to skip a few steps. And this comes with a servo with an extra lead for position feedback. I first saw those on, I think, the U-Factory U-Arm. So this should be fun to put together, so I'll be building that later. The other item here is a rather cool Raspberry t-shirt, their newest one. And I bought myself one of those. My children saw the order, and I've got more coming because they decided they would like them too. So this should be nice. And I think that's all of it. So we get all of those sensors for just an I2C. Well, I should find out perhaps what the GPIO switches do. They might be just to enable it so we can change the address on it. Kind of like the X shut pin on the VL53LOX sensor. I don't know, we'll find out, but this should be lots of fun. It's got some nice mounting holes. Again, I guess we can mount this somewhere on the bottom of a robot. This one, the mounting holes, I suspect I'd want to go and put that on some standoffs at the bottom of a robot instead. Okay, so it's indicating all the pins, and it's indicating the number of the array, so I guess you know which way to order it. Okay, cool. And this one, I think each pin is just an individual I/O pin, so no I2C there. So I actually got another couple of packages, or another couple of bits from Pimoroni. This is a Pico wireless pack, which I think is just an ESP32, but it means I can do Wi-Fi on a Raspberry Pi Pico. Sweet, and I can have my web and therefore phone controlled robots. The other thing I've got is the Kitronic Robotics board. Now I've already got the Kitronic motor board for the Pico, so I can maybe compare and contrast the two, and it's got this interesting little prototyping area, although I suppose depending on which way you mount it, the prototyping area might be under the Pico. Maybe I need to mount it the other way up. I'll think about that. So comparing these two boards, they're both by Kitronic. First thing is actually, well, this one is slightly narrower. Note the 3 large mounting holes, but here it's got these smaller, well, Pico size mounting holes. The motor breakout, although it looks the same, is different. So this one's got silkscreen on the top showing motor 1 and 2, and then a bunch of GPIO pins. 2 motors, 2 sets of GPIOs, perfect if you're going to do some encoding. This one, however, I think controls, there's no silkscreen on the motor, there it is, 4 motors. but it doesn't break out the GPIOs in the same way. So this, I guess, if I'd used those 5-pin or 6-pin motor headers, the ones that the Adafruit encoder motors with encoders come with, where you got motor and 2 GPIO pins for the encoder, be perfect. This one, I guess I could terminate them where these servo control bits are. So yeah, we've got some servo headers here, signal voltage ground, 2 banks, and I don't know which GPIO pins, or if it really is just GPIO pin 1. Maybe I'll have to look at the data sheet for that. So I think this one, and I've stuck the Pico on it. Oh, notice I've also got the long header here, and I did the long header here so I could actually access the other I/O pins on my Pico, solder that on. So I think this one just has a single motor controller chip which you control from individual GPIO pins. I don't think you can really see in there, I'm afraid. Can we get any more light in that? So this one you control the motor controller directly. This one, however, has got an old familiar favourite, if I can get it to focus, which is the, hold on, PCA 9685, which is, I think, controlling both the motors and the servos. You can see it connecting all the servos, so those aren't just GPIO pins, those are directly PWM controlled by that device, which is an I2C controller. And looking at that trace right there, my big fat finger, yes, it's also controlling the DRV 8833s, which are the motor controllers. So you'd have to set the PWM rate of this to something that's a happy intermediate for both servo motors and DC motors. One problem I've had is servo motors like quite a low rate, but if you control DC motors at that low rate, they're a bit too easy to stall. So the silk screen here, I guess, shows which pins are broken out. Oh, it does show it on the back as well. Okay, that's handy, along with all the grounds. So you could possibly prototype here. If that's 0 volts, is that 0 volts at the top, or is that 5 volts? Well, that's plus volts. Okay, so yeah, that prototyping area, we could use the back here, and we could kind of stick that in the Pico and then use this back prototyping area to solder stuff on. That could be handy. Both of these have got and take a up to 10.8 volt input. Don't know if it says here. There it is. 10.8 volts max, and I think this other board has the same 10.8 volt max, so they're probably using the same regulator, given they're both by Kitronic. That means I think it'll also regulate and power the Pico, sorry, which perhaps is what one of these devices here is about. And they've also got this breakout here, which I think, so both have that breakout. But the other thing they've both got, which I really like, is they've both got power switches. And that is extremely handy, having a power switch. It's almost a shame, the only thing I would say about the power switch is it's almost a shame there's not a breakout for a power switch so you could put it somewhere else in your robot, i.e. it's right next to where the motor cables are, so it's going to be a bit inconvenient, but it'd be nice to have it on the side of the robot where you could get to it. But you know what, I'm pretty happy with both of these boards. I'm going to probably use this tiny one. So I was going to do all those other things for the Pico Zumo and do some custom boards. But you know what? If I can make this work instead of the custom boards, that would be quite nice. It would save me a whole bunch of time. This one is clearly going to go into a bigger robot. 8 servos. I mean, I've got some robots. I suppose I've got the robot that uses the 18 servos, but we'll have to find out if I can. I'll find out if I'm going to do anything with the 8 servos. Anyway, I'm looking forward to playing with both of these boards and building robots with both of them. So, Raspberry Pi Pico Robotics, here we come. So the Pico wireless pack, you can see you've got the ESP32 right here, which we can also program in MicroPython, presumably also in CircuitPython. It's got an A button. I don't know if that can be used as a reset button. That would be really nice if it could. And is that... what is that? Some kind of polyfuse? I don't think that's a I wonder, maybe that's an LED. That would be nice, just having a... I suppose that might be a colour LED as well, because a number of pins on it. Don't know. Okay, and we've got a micro SD slot as well, so we can have some big storage on our Pico. My only reservation with it is that this is supposed to be plugged in underneath the Pico, the same as this. And I suspect if I wanted to use both together, I need to get some kind of breakout board to kind of put them back to back. So you get this on one side and this on the other. Because it's not going to work on the top there because that's the wrong way up. Or even on the top there. Yeah, it's almost a shame you can't have like through headers on all of these and stack them up. So that's my only reservation. Otherwise, I think this is going to be great fun to play with. So also in that mailbag was this. It's the new Raspberry Pi t-shirt, which is raspberrypi.code, with some lovely pink and purple colours. And we've got gears, LEDs, resistors, bolts, pen. We've got, what have we got down here? I don't know. It's like a little character. Some kind of circuit diagram, paintbrush, rptl.io. I'm trying to read that upside down and back to front. I quite like this t-shirt anyway. And it's another good one for my collection. Oh, and another thing that arrived, slipped into just one of those boxes, was this, which is the PicoProto, which allows you to prototype for a Raspberry Pi Pico, which I can then use to kind of stick some little circuits on for that as well. So, getting a closer look at the PicoProto, it looks like they're individual holes, they're just through plated. I think those lines means that these holes are connected through. It's not showing pin numbers on one side. On the other side it does. It has the pin numbers on the other side there. And you can see where the grounds are and where the other connections are. So this could be quite handy to build extra prototypes. I think that'd be handy to prototype some robot bits that fit onto a Raspberry Pi Pico. I might even go ahead and put it on the top of one, since I've stuck those extended headers on top of the one in the motorboard. Right, hope you've enjoyed that little short unboxing, and go make stuff and be awesome. Bye!